Welcome back to Business Drive. I'm Kris Smith, and if you've missed any episodes so far, you can catch them all at 9 now. And as always, head across to drive.com.au for all news and reviews. Also, if you're looking to buy and sell, Drive can help you there too. Now today, we're going to take a look at the very exciting new players in the utility vehicle market and how they can help the hardworking tradies of Australia. Let's get rolling. So we've got the Ranger, we've got the Hilux, we've even got the Isuzu brand, but this is a badge we haven't seen in Australia before in the form of a Ute, isn't it? What have we got?
That's right, mate. This is the JAC T9, and it's just one of a new breed of Utes that we're seeing. And look, I know we're talking a lot about Utes in this show, but this is a huge part of the market. We know that Kia is bringing the Tasman Ute. We know that the GWM Ute's done really well at that value part of the market, and they've got the new Canon Alpha coming through. We know that there is more action coming. There's a BYD hybrid, there's a Geely radar coming. Utes are big business, so to see new entry from established brands. Now, for a bit of history, JAC have been building trucks for about 60 years. So even though it's new to Australia, they know what they're doing when it comes to heavy vehicles. But where this is positioned is at that value part of the market. And for a lot of buyers, this gives them the option of buying a brand new car versus a second-hand one.
And what comes with buying a brand new car? I think they've got a fair bit of confidence that this is going to succeed.
Well, this is the thing. So if you're running a small business or you're running a new business, nobody likes surprises, and cash flow is pretty important. So with this, you get a 7-year warranty, 7-year roadside assist, 7-year cap price servicing, all for business buyers. You don't often get that kind of surety with a second-hand car. So while you can, for the same sort of price, these are under 50 grand. For that sort of price, you can get a second-hand Ranger or a second-hand Hilux, but you may not know what that service cost is going to be. You may not know what's going to happen if something goes wrong and you need to make a warranty claim. So here, yeah, okay, it may not be a hugely established brand, but you get 2024 capability here. You've got 7 airbags, including a centre airbag, which is some new safety tech that we see. It's got all the driver assistance tech. You've got a 360 camera on this model. And of course, a cool feature that does come standard on these, the running board side steps, are great for bashing your shoes on. Plus, you get the cool light up logo on the ground that, well, it says JAC for me. It's upside down for you, but that...
It says JAC for me too, if I do that.
You've got Apple CarPlay, all the whiz-bangs that you expect from a new car at that value price point. And I think this part of the market, for a lot of people needing vehicles like this, makes it a really sharp offering and something that should be considered, particularly for new or small business buyers.
That is a lot, a car, for that price of money. And when you think on top of that, you can then add customizations as well.
Well, that's right. Like, even though the brand is new, you can see this has got accessories. These were developed in Australia. So you've got aftermarket working for these vehicles even before they get released to market, knowing that everybody's use are different. So you've got things like the push bar, the roof rack on the top here. These are considered for how people are going to be using them. So it means that you can come in with a pretty sharp budget, not only pick up your vehicle, but add some customization and accessories, as you say, to a vehicle that's got all the key numbers in all the key places. 1-ton payload, we know that's what buyers are looking for. So a car like the JAC T9, it is a new option for people looking at that, I guess, sharp value, but I still want a lot of stuff with my vehicle, particularly if you're going to use it for some work and play. It's a good option for new buyers. Now, if you are interested in a new vehicle like the JAC T9, you can find out all the information, pricing, specs, and a detailed review at drive.com.au.
We're back on Business Drive with Scott Cam, and I do have to ask you, vehicle mods on the block, is there anything there that's kind of blown your mind a little bit?
Well, actually, Kris, yes. We had a boat in one of our scenes, like a bar crusher, and I had to hook it up. So I pressed a button, I locked in the bar crusher. There's a camera that goes out and finds the ball of the boat trailer, and then I said, go, and hands off, feet off the pedals, and the car reversed all the way to the boat and got me directly, lined the ball up with the trailer by itself. And then, you know, I mean, I can reverse a car onto a trailer with the camera, but obviously you've got to get out and you're this far short, got to go a little bit further. This thing absolutely spot on, wound it down, locked on. Incredible.
What a world we live in. That's phenomenal. What about the tradies on the block? Is there any vehicle mods from them that they've made you go, that's pretty good, I might grab one of them?
Yeah, look, a lot of the boys have got travel buddies for their smoko. They keep their smoko warm, so their wife might make some food or they make some food, like spag bowl or something like that. They'll keep it in the travel buddy for smoko with foil on it at 60 degrees, and it's nice and warm when they have smoko. How unreal is that? If they've got 3 or 4 boys on, they can put multiple pies in those buddies, plus all the cold drinks.
Everybody looked after.
Yeah.
What would your advice be for a tradie looking to upgrade his ute?
I think you've got to look at what you're towing, what you're loading on. The payload is the big thing. And these days, just about all these utes are so comfortable inside compared to the old days when I kicked off. A ute was a ute and that was it. But these are family vehicles. And I've always said to my friends, the best family car you could ever buy is a dual cab ute. Fits 3 kids in the back, baby seats or whatever you need, and you've got a full ute at the back to put all your stuff in.
And that's why he is the best in the business. And for your next business drive or any information you need on Business Drive, go to drive.com.au. Ram Bighorn, American badge, American made.
Well, not exactly. These come out here from the US as a left-hand drive vehicle, and Ram Trucks Australia actually convert them. And convert's probably not the right word. They re-engineer them to right-hand drive. They've done 30,000 of these things. They've been running it for 8 years. So this is Australia's new automotive industry of sorts. The factory is pretty impressive. It is the only licensed Ram factory outside of the US to do this, and they do all of the work here. So the cars will be designed for Australian drivers to work in Australian roads. And what you get is, of course, a big car for a big country. Under the bonnet, a 5.7 litre petrol V8, now with a mild hybrid system.
What's a mild hybrid?
Well, under here, you've got this. This is the Ram e-torque system. So it's connected to a 48-volt battery. So we're used to cars having a 12-volt and in some cases a 24-volt. You've got a high voltage 48-volt battery down the back of the car. This is like it's a starter generator, so it works in a number of different ways. You've got an electric motor there with a belt drive that helps the car for the idle stop. So you pull up to a set of lights, the 8 cylinders shut down, the light goes green, you lift off the brake. The starter generator will fire up the car much, much faster than a traditional starter motor driven by solenoids. When you're driving along, it will use the car's power to help recharge the battery under acceleration. It's able to spin things up faster to make gear changes both up and down even smoother. And what it means is that you've got yourself a relatively efficient platform here, because that 5.7 litre V8 sounds thirsty, but on a touring drive, it shuts down half of its cylinders. So it runs as a 4-cylinder on a long run. Still not, it's not a Prius, but it's a lot more efficient than it really should be. And it definitely works in a touring environment.
Okay, but seriously, who needs one of these? Like, who really needs this?
The way I look at it, and look, obviously there's space in the cabin. You can have 2 different bed lengths on the back. You can get the Ram boxes installed. There's a lot of configurability you can have. But the best way to describe this is towing, and towing something like a horse float. So if you've got 2 horses in a float, they're big animals, they move around, so that's an unpredictable load. You've got at least 2 people in the car, you've got saddles and other equipment. So if you're putting that on a Hilux or a Ranger, you've got that car at the limit of its towing ability. Whereas with the Ram, this has got 4.5 ton towing capability. That means you can tow safely. And this is the key. If you're doing big trips, you're running from Armidale in Melbourne to Armidale in New South Wales, that's a long drive. You need big country touring capability for safe passenger, heavy loading, heavy trailers on that long distance. And that's where the Rams come in handy, especially here in Australia.
Can we expect to see more on the roads of Australia than we do now?
Absolutely. This has become a huge growth segment as a lot of people are starting to look at it, and you see them out in regional areas because that's where they work best. People who need to tow farm equipment, people who need to put decent loads in the back, or at least who want to have comfort on a longer drive. The big Utes work really well, and particularly where you look at how these things have been formed out of the US. Ram's really owning this segment. They've got a lot of configurability, a lot of variation within the range to really suit what buyers want. Yes, of course, you're going to get people driving around town in them, and you're going to have trade businesses and even people who just love the look of them. That's okay, but for that big country touring, remembering Australia is a big place, a big car really does have its place.
Needless to say, I loved the big Ram, but I need the bigger Ram. What is this?
Well, mate, this is the Ram 2500 HD. So this is the bigger Ram, exactly to your point. And I guess this is what you need if you do need more. And there's more space. It's a 6-seater cabin. There's more power. You've got a 6.7 litre turbo diesel in this one, so it's diesel, not petrol. This has got 276 kilowatts and 1,152 Newton meters. And to put that into, a concept, power, kilowatts, is how fast you can throw the ball, and torque, Newton meters, is how heavy a ball you can throw. And with this, you can throw a really heavy ball. You've got 4.5 tonne, same as the other Ram that we saw on the standard hitch, but with a 5th wheel setup, which is like a semi-trailer. You get a pivot point in the bed, and with the right hardware, the trailer needs air brakes, you can tow 8 tonne. Now, to give you a bit of context, you need a truck license to do that. So it is a pretty heavy hauler. But this thing's not just about towing. As you can see, you've got a really clever load area here. You've got like a baffle that you can put in there. So it means if you've got a small amount of load in there, you can stop stuff from sliding around. You've got these really clever Ram boxes on the side that use the width of the car as storage. So over the wheel arches there, you can use them for tools and other bits and pieces. You can lock them, and it kind of covers off one of the main things that we've spoken about through this program with Utes, is you don't want to leave all your stuff open to the elements, so you can keep them secure. The load bay, and this is the contextual thing, it is 6'4" long. That means you or I could lie down in the back of this thing. That's how big it is. And I guess the key here, this is the biggest car for the biggest country. So if you are doing a lot of heavy carrying, a lot of heavy towing, or a lot of touring, a bigger Ram in the 2500 is probably exactly the car you need.
Now, you touched earlier on brakes and engine brakes. What's the difference between those two?
Great question, because this car has both of those integrated. So it's got a trailer brake controller integrated into the vehicle. And what that means, you can adjust the amount of braking force that's on your trailer when you hook it up with the plug on the back, it's not just doing the lights, it's controlling the electric brakes on the trailer. But engine braking, and you can put this car into an automatic mode. If you've got a heavy load on the back and you're coming down a steep hill, you can use the car's engine to help slow the car down. So it's not just working on its brakes. The car is managing that amount of, mass that it's moving down the hill with the load on the back to keep you safe and secure while out on the highway. And I think if you are doing, and look, we've said this all along, these cop a bit of heat for people who use them in city areas. These are not a city car by any stretch. If you are doing a lot of miles and you are dealing with big towing, to have the security not only of that capacity for towing the big weight, but to have the engine braking integrated into the car, this is a brilliant platform for that kind of work.
Welcome back. Now, many small business owners are constantly looking for ways to optimize their operations. And one key area there is financing their assets. So I'm here with Ryan from Stratton Finance to discuss today whether it's a viable option for small businesses to finance. Ryan, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, small businesses in Australia at the moment are obviously facing a lot of different pressures, as are all Australians. So financing could potentially open up cash flow opportunities for businesses. Some really great tax options may be available for them as well.
I think you've touched on everybody's favourite there, tax benefit. What are the tax benefits available to businesses with their car?
There are benefits for interest, depreciation, obviously the government offers things such as write-offs, etc., which may be able to assist them come tax time.
And do the tax benefits differ from buying to leasing?
Again, very important that the business consults with their accountant. There will be certain things that you're able to claim. Interest is an example of something that a business may be able to claim. If you've purchased that with cash, interest is obviously not applicable, whereas if you're financing, that then may be a tax deduction for your business.
And can you outline the main tax benefit to gain from its vehicles, I suppose?
So generally speaking, a vehicle that you purchase today is going to depreciate in value. So depreciation is a tool that tax agents may be able to spread over the life of the useful use of that particular vehicle. And again, interest being a significant portion of the repayment. And then you can obviously take advantage of, if your business is eligible and if the asset was eligible, things such as the instant asset write-off also.
Can you explain to me how depreciation of a vehicle works?
So depreciation of a vehicle, whether it's through use or just through time, the vehicle will be worth less as time goes on. So because obviously the purchase price may have been A, after year one, it's at B, at C, at D. That is obviously a cost to the business. So depreciation, you're able to spread the cost of that over the life of the useful use of that asset.
And what about deductions for interest on loans?
Unfortunately, for all of us, interest comes with loans, which means that you're going to be paying back more than you originally borrowed. Again, that then becomes a business expense. If X amount is what you purchased the vehicle for and Y amount is what you've paid back. The difference is obviously the interest there. That could be considered a business expense, which a tax accountant could then look at putting back into the business.
So what would be the benefit between, for instance, a large SUV, a Ute, or an EV, for example?
As far as financing goes, those two things will be considered fairly similar. Most lenders will assess a large SUV as opposed to a Ute very, very similarly, depending on the weight of those two vehicles.
Ryan, thank you so much. Very knowledgeable. Your insight is much appreciated. Is there anything else you would like to finish with? Any advice for our viewers?
Very important to note that with the discussion today, this has all been general advice. It's very important for people to speak to their accountant, their financial planners, to make sure that they're doing the right things for their business, not only in the short term, but in the long term.
Thank you for watching Business Drives. Join us after the break, where we will be diving further into the need for fit-for-purpose vehicles. Here's something I didn't know. Single cab chassis are exactly what they sound.
Yep.
This doesn't come with it. This is an option.
Absolutely. A cab chassis, you get the cab, you get the chassis, the tray, or whatever else it is you need on the back is an extra. This is a steel tray, so it's quite heavy but hard wearing. Toyota do a range of alloy and steel trays that you can get when you buy the Ute. But if you've got something specific that you need that vehicle for, you can have anything back here. So there's companies like Norweld who'll build you a custom canopy. You can put tanks, you can put firefighting equipment, you can put anything you want on the back of a cab chassis Ute. And that's why these things really do work as a quintessential working vehicle.
So it comes in a 4x4 and a 4x2, which to me sounds like a piece of wood, but isn't. Is it? Elaborate.
No, and look, it is quite simple. A 4x4 is exactly what it sounds. You've got 4 wheels and 4 of them are driven, so it's 4-wheel drive. A 4x2 Ute, especially in a Hilux, is going to be rear-wheel drive. You've got 4 wheels and only 2 of them are driven. And generally you find those as what we've nicknamed the low lux, because it's a lower riding. You don't need that extra ground clearance for off-road or doing bits and pieces. And they work really, really well for road crews or for urban business and out on, well, working city streets as a tool of trade. A 4x2 Ute, particularly as a cab chassis, is really, I guess it's the basic working vehicle that Australians are used to seeing. And it's something that Depending on the size of your business, you may be buying 1, you may be buying 10, but this is where you need to find something that's going to work for you. And I suppose with the Hilux, well, you've got a reputation here. You've got the unbreakable Hilux. This has got a hugely well-won reputation for reliability and consistency, and that's why a lot of people choose this as their vehicle of choice.
So we saw the electric version in the e-Transit. What are the chances of seeing that in a Ute form?
Absolutely certain, and I think that's the way of saying it. We know that there's some electric Utes already in the market. There's an LDV, which is a 4x2 electric Ute, but we know that there are more coming, and even Toyota is looking at an electric Hilux because for the sort of work that many of these vehicles do, they're not venturing too far away from home, they don't need long range, and let's think, you're building a tunnel in a major road network thing to be underground with 0 emissions from the tailpipe. It actually makes a lot of sense to have an electric platform here because you're moving around cones or other light materials. You don't need it for towing, you don't need it for long distance. Electric in a Ute is where this kind of works really well, and we know it is coming. So hold on to your hats. This is going to be part of the future very soon.
Now they've got big shoes to fill because this is really a stalwart of Australian tradesmen. Do you actually think they can compare?
Look, I think getting people across and using the electric Utes in that environment will be what is, I think that's what will get people used to them, seeing how they work. At the moment, look, fair enough, there's a fair amount of apprehension when it comes to electrifying working vehicles because people think, what if I get stuck? What if it hasn't got the capability or the range that I need? And as we've seen, these vehicles need to be very, very flexible. But as the electrification technology gets better and as that kind of surety gets a little bit more well understood by Australia's working drivers, I think we'll start to see them get some take-up in certain parts of the industry very soon.
Well, that's a wrap for another episode of Business Drive, and we've looked at everything this week from the newest entries on the market to some trusted old favourites, and we've even got expert advice on how to manage your financials. And next week, we're going to look deeper into the tech that drives these vehicles forward. Don't miss out.
Are you ready to buy your next new vehicle? Well, the team at Drive can help you out. We have reviewed and driven all the new cars on sale in Australia at the moment to help you make a smart choice and buy the right new car for you. We've got cars for sale right now from reputable dealers over at drive.com.au. And of course, if you're ready to sell your car, we can help you with that too. Everything you need to know about buying or selling your car, it's over at drive.com.au.